Poštovani ministre Miljenić, poštovane dame i gospodo, dragi sudionici. Čestitam hrvatskim glasačima. It was a great day, Sunday. When walking here into the room, I was asked, "Are you still celebrating?" I said, "No. We were celebrating on Sunday evening, but on Monday morning we continued to work as before. And this is, I think, what we all have to do in many areas." As was said before, we were here about a year ago to cover many of these issues in the field of media in the fight against corruption in Croatia. It was at a time when the European Commission was preparing a very important interim report on developments, progress on the famous Chapter 23, dealing with the judiciary and fundamental rights, the chapter of all chapters. This interim report was then published early March last year and was a crucial step in the continuation and the speeding up of the completion of the negotiations in that chapter, but also progress with regard to Chapter 23 was instrumental and indispensable for being able to conclude the negotiations altogether by the end of June last year. And since then, as you know, the accession treaty was signed early December, and last Sunday, the Croatian citizens voted in favor of the accession of Croatia. Well done. 2/3 majority is a comfortable majority. Indeed, I do consider the outcome of the referendum to be a milestone in the history of Croatia. Croatians said yes to the European Union, and now, more than ever before, the European Union is welcoming Croatia with open arms. And by 1st of July 2013, Croatia will be where it belongs. We are all convinced that EU membership will provide Croatian citizens with many opportunities, but also challenges, and it also bring peace and stability in the region. However, I also believe that Croatian citizens should continue to inform themselves about the European Union and about the future accession of Croatia to the European Union and prepare themselves in order to be able to reap all possible benefits, because they do not come by themselves. My delegation is available and will continue to be available to work with all the institutions and stakeholders in order to accompany Croatia on this further process towards effective membership by the 1st of July 2013. And as you know already, as of now, representatives of Croatia take part in meetings in Brussels or in Strasbourg. They can already express their views, but they cannot yet vote. That's the status of active observation. Only as of effective membership, they will be able to vote as well, but clearly their input as of now can be beneficial to the decision-making in the European Union institutions. The European Union trusts that the government will submit to the European Commission, which, as you know, is in charge of the monitoring of policy and legislative developments until accession. We trust that the government will submit to the European Commission any ideas or proposals for modifying current legislation which may impact on what the EC considered as important for meeting the benchmarks, the track records in Chapter 23. The adoption of legislation between now and accession which could go against the acquis communautaire would send very negative signals to the European Union institutions and to the member states of the European Union. I urge the government and the SABR to be extremely vigilant and to hold consultations with the EU side at an early stage, not only with regard to Chapter 23, but with regard to the contents of all chapters negotiated. The fight against corruption remains on the top of the agenda, where the EU is expecting further progress. This concerns both preventive and repressive measures. The European Union is expecting the further strengthening of a clear and convincing track record of investigations, prosecutions, and court decisions in corruption cases. With regard to these three layers, it's probably with regard to court decisions that we are waiting most. With regard to the prevention of corruption, the proper implementation of the new and possibly revised legislation on access to information, financing of political parties, and the prevention of conflicts of interests are crucial. As you know, the European Union is more and more committed to fighting corruption also within the European Union. We have not singled out Croatia as far as our insisting on fighting corruption. In fact, 4 out of 5 EU citizens regard corruption as a major problem in their own member states. Corruption is estimated to cost to the economy of the European Union something like 100 billion euros per year. The European Commission obtained this figure on the basis of an analysis of estimates made by specialized institutions and bodies such as the International Chamber of Commerce, Transparency International, UN Global Compact, World Economic Forum, Clean Business is Good Business, and so on, which suggests that corruption amounts to roughly 5% of GDP at worldwide level. And based on these data, it is possible to conclude that corruption represents 1% of GDP in the European Union, which is close, but even less than the annual budget of the European Union. Therefore, there is a need for a firm political commitment and a concrete and effective action against corruption. The European Union last year adopted a new mechanism, a new tool against corruption, by introducing the tool of regularly adopting a corruption report in the fight against corruption. The purpose of such a report in the future will be to monitor and assess efforts of member states against corruption and to encourage a stronger political commitment. The European Union believes that this will support member states, especially in their enforcement of legislation, the fulfillment of their international commitments, and the increase of the coherence of their strategies and plans against corruption. Commissioner Malmström, in charge of Home Affairs, said last year that this report should generate a political will to act by giving a clear picture of anti-corruption efforts and achievements, but also pointing out failures and vulnerabilities across the 27 current EU member states. Croatia is, of course, now even more involved in this EU vision to fighting corruption. And this should increase also the value of media and the role of media support in the fight against corruption. As mentioned, during some of these activities last year, free and responsible media can indeed effectively contribute to fighting corruption, and by providing open and objective reporting, can positively serve public trust. Croatia, like any other country which is struggling against corruption, needs to have free and independent media on the forefront of the fight against corruption. And of course, the media themselves should be free of corruption. Reference was made to the concentration of power in the media. This is indeed of concern. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, let me also this time, like last year, conclude by stating that each step that we undertake to foster transparency, accountability, integrity, and the rule of law in our everyday life plays a crucial role in protecting the basic EU democratic principles and values. Media contribution in this process is essential. I once again encourage you to focus always on the general interest and on looking for justice. The same interest, the same objectives for which many journalists have given their lives. And in our daily work, contributing on fighting for the general interest, for trying to detect injustice and corruption, we should think of these brave journalists who lost their lives. Hvala lijepo.